Hey, welcome back to Stellar Horizons Campaign Game Playthrough, episode 27. Um, we are in the year 2107. We're going to start off with the build phase. I'm going to mention a thing right now. In the last decade, the Russians sent a robotic explorer out here to Jupiter. They have a Callisto mission, but notice that tiny little CV there. You can't notice it, it's too small. Okay, CV. So we let them send an orbiter and a probe out here to Callisto. It didn't happen, they dropped the probe. In this turn, we're just going to pretend that that was the mission profile, that the orbiter swung by Callisto, dropped off a probe. We're going to let them move that orbiter into Jupiter during the movement phase. That is outside the rules. But that was my mistake for thinking that they should have sent that to Callisto. The only thing that's going to accomplish that mission is a CV. So we're going to do that this turn. And so now on to the rest of the game. Build phase, starting with the Asians. They're going to build a launch vehicle 4, and they're going to build or buy 4 fuel. At Earth, they're going to send that out. Plan is to send that to Mars. They may, if the launch vehicle survives, they may even, because the original plan was they were going to come out here and mine some fuel, take it to Mars. I didn't do my math, and I failed my logistics exam. It was not going to get there in time. So we'll see what they can do with just making money sending it from Earth. Next up, the Americans. The Americans are going to buy a rover, and they're going to. The plan is to send it actually out to the Trojans and Greeks, Jupiter. The Americans right now are at their support limit, but I think since it'll get there in one turn, they'll get 2 turns exploring with it. That's. And for being 1 over your support limit, it costs $2 billion for robotic explorers. That's 2 turns of exploration. I think that's worth it. Next up, the Russians, something very similar to the Asians. A launch vehicle 4 and 4 supplies, but they're going to send that. They need 1 more supply. They've got a couple of crewed vehicles, so they can handle this one. In fact, let's go ahead and handle that. So 1 fuel and 1 supply are expended to ready. So I should have done that before. That's CV5. That CV5 is going to head back out to Callisto and try to accomplish that mission. They've got this crewed vehicle here. If they don't have fuel here this turn, because they can send it out in the movement phase next time, but that won't help this guy. So they're going to, if they're sending 1 fuel, they might as well send 4. And so that is our purchases. On to the movements. American CV arrives at Mercury. Russian, no, I'm sorry, that's Asian, obviously. And this one is the Russian, which I just dumped. The backside of the Russians and the Americans is a little tough for me. I can definitely see there's a contrast. Yellow, the text and the shading is a little bit different, but I'm not great with it. Endeavor. Americans are getting ready to build their Jupiter base. Asians, so we got all those CVs coming in. Nothing at Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. Asian flybys come down by 1. The Asians right now are 2 over their robotic explorer limit, but these flybys should be finished by the end of the decade, unless they want to send one on to Alpha Centauri. maybe they'll do that, but maybe not. That's a long journey at their current speed. But I think somebody's going to be going for that pretty soon. That's all the regular or the mandatory movement. Let's go to the Asians. Okay, so I'm just doing my normal scan the board. Okay, Asian CV here, staying, mining ore. This Asian CV5 moves to the Asian base. This Asian CV is going to head back out to the asteroid belt. So we just talked about that. It can't get the fuel to Mars in time, so it's just going to bring it to the asteroid belt. This Asian CV, the idea originally, I think, was to do some exploration, and I think that's still a good one. EO is done. Europa could easily be completed. So that's that's physics, biology, and engineering. So they have all their choices. There's no CV exploration at Jupiter. That's just a little note that's over here. Same thing, no rovers. So certainly the engineering is the easiest, but all of them, 6 + 2 for their tech, so they're guaranteed a marker at any of them. And I'm just looking at the tech chart, trying to say, what is it that they need? They're going to go for physics. I'm not sure if that's the right call, but that's what they're doing. Ganymede. Rovers there. We've taken care of all that. So that's the Asians' movement, except for their launch. $38. Okay, they're happy. Rocket is recovered. And that's 4 fuel out to Mars. Next up on movement, Americans. Well, the CV3 is going to go to Mercury. We said that's Russian. American movement over here. Okay, so this CV is coming into Jupiter orbit, and they can get one last mining attempt. In fact, I guess technically these guys need to be in a stack together, in a fleet. Sort of. I mean, they don't have to, but that's what we want to do. And they can be and still mine and then build the base and the facility all this turn. CV5. Just looking at the Americans' tech situation. I think they would like a little more biology. So they're going to go out to Callisto. Other American movement, nothing on the board. Just launching their rover on an LV-4 out to the Trojans and Greeks. 72, rocket is recovered. So that rover goes in the 1 box at Jupiter. Next up, Russians. What have they got going on? Well, we readied this crew vehicle 5. It's going out to Jupiter. They'd like to get that Callisto mission. This crewed vehicle coming back to the base and unloading those supplies. I'm sorry, that ore there. This Russian CV, it's not unreadied, but it is going to return to the asteroid belt because it is loaded. Now I guess before we make that move, how badly do they need the fuel? They're shipping fuel right now, so the answer is they don't badly need the fuel. Well, since they're here at Jupiter, they might as well explore. And they would also like to get some more biology. So they'll move over there. And that's also their mission, so yeah, that helps them. And that looks like all of the movement, and now the Russians, their launch vehicle 4, sending 4 fuel out to the asteroid belt 25. That is a successful launch, but the rocket is not recovered. And that fuel is moved to their base box. All right, that's all of the movements. Next up, explorations, starting with the Russians. They don't have anything in here anymore. There's an Asian telescope. Nothing here, so we are just doing it, starting off at Jupiter. Oh, yeah, and we said that we were going to let them move that orbiter into Jupiter's orbit. Let's start off with the Russian CV. It's a 4 plus 2 for their suit tech is 6, 7, 8. Six is a success. 32 is not a recall, so they are getting Callisto again is biology. This is the last biology marker. It's a 2. So not a success. I'll pause in a moment once there is another biology marker draw to add up that. So the Russian orbiter I'm just looking at, and you can look at it with me. That's 1 plus 1 for their technology, 2. It does not have a spectrometer, so it's like, okay, well, EO is not a target anymore, it's 0. This is spectrometer, rover, spectrometer. Really the Trojans and Greeks, if they want a reasonable chance of success, Trojans and Greeks, which is a 4. So they are a 2 plus 4 is 6 minus 1 for the distance. 5. 24 and a 2. Well, the 2 is a success, and their malfunction rate is 21. So they are getting an engineering marker, and there's not a whole lot of those left either. I don't think we've blown through all 3, and that was a good choice for the Russians. 5. That's a political marker. The 4 is reduced. To a 3. So just as a note, 4% life check. But the world card that they pull, I'm going to do take a moment here and just do a bit of a larger shuffle. And their world card, mixed ice. Icy. Well, the Trojan Greeks are icy rocky asteroids. I'll go ahead and apply it. Life check 4%. Let's see. $23, no life. So that was their orbiter. They did their CV, and all they've got left is this. I can't believe I've gone this whole game and I've not made a single Uranus joke. But I'm keeping it upscale. So that's a 3. And they're going to go for some more physics. So 3 plus 5 minus 1 is a 7. Well, that's a 3, a success. A 14 is also a malfunction. So that orbiter is done. It's a physics pull and then an engineering pull. The physics is a 3, so they got the depletion. The engineering was a 2. And that gives them another political marker. The 4. I'm just bringing the 4 down to my box. 3. Oh, hang on. That's not right. We didn't do Uranus. We were just talking about Uranus. Why are you talking about my Uranus? There we go. There's the joke. Okay, so that gets reduced to a 4. It does have a spectrometer. A helium-3, that's not going to apply. And try to enunciate. I didn't grow up in Tennessee, but I've spent too much time here. Helium-3 and escarpments. Well, rocky or icy, the escarpments will apply. +3 crude, not very helpful, but they'll take it. Life check 4%. $93, no life. So that is the Russians' explorations. Next up, the Americans. Well, they've got 2 at Mercury. Let's try it from over here. No, don't like that. There we go. Mercury Exploration. Let's start off with the rover. So 5 is actually 5 plus 2, so 7 plus 6, 13. No malfunction and no second chit. Engineering marker pull is a 3. That's a depletion. Another political marker for the Americans. 4 goes to 3. Pathfinder rover does not have a world card. or I'm sorry, a spectrometer. So only one world card. And the world card is volatile atmosphere. Didn't come up too much. And also does not apply. Life check for Mercury, 2%. $58, nope. Next up, the Venture CV. So that's a 6 plus 3 is a 9. Okay, let's take a note of this. So 28, not a recall, and the 2, that's a success. So this was a success for the Americans. Now we just did this orbiter, and I am 99% sure. Yeah, we pulled an engineering marker for it. I was like, I realized I had not completed. So it malfunctioned. We pulled the engineering check. They also had the depletion, and we took care of it, except for pulling that. So now back to this, which we just rolled. So they are getting an engineering marker, but they did not flip. This is the last engineering marker. Wow, we're out of engineering and biology right now. So that's a 2. I'll keep on showing it to you, and it's not going to change. So there's no doubt in my mind that we're going to need to pull or put all those markers back. So I think with that, I'm going to pause it for a moment and total up. So here's where we're at. You can see here are our cups, 2 empty cups, all those physics markers. There's the Asians, Russians, and Americans. So I'm just going to add those up and be right back. All right, and we are back with the exploration phase. We're continuing on with America. The numbers, Russia had 16 for both engineering and biology. The Asians were in the low 20s, and America was in the low 30s for both. So we'll see the exact numbers at the end of the decade. American explorations, obviously nothing here. Okay, so they've got, we did the Russian orbiter. So the Americans have an orbiter, a CV, and a CV. Let's go ahead and start off with the Enterprise at Europa. So that's 8, 9 with 2 red dice. A success, no recall. And so that is a biology marker for Europa. And their pull, a 2. Let's go ahead and do the other. So that is 8, 9, 10. So an automatic. Recall roll, 91. Another biology marker for Callisto. There's a 5. Another political marker for the Americans. They are killing it. What do They had 10, 16, 17, 18. So we thought the Asians had a lot last time. That 2 is going to get reduced. World card for Callisto is subterranean water, which I'm sure will apply. And the question is, do they want it to? They've already got the subterranean water at Europa. If you're looking for a secondary source for fuel, I don't know that this one makes much of a difference. You're looking for another place for supplies. It's not as good as Europa, but if you build a base on Europa, then this would be a good one. It's less ore. I guess they'll do it, plus it gives a bonus to the life check, 5% and 6%, so we're up to 11 on the life. And they got it. Ron, you're the man. So that's another sign of life. Let's go find that marker. Okay. So sign of life. I know it's a victory point. I know it's a political marker, and I think it's 2 biology markers. But I'm going to check that. So just give me a second. And that was it. So another political marker for the Americans, another victory point, and 2 biology tech pulls. Which a 1 and a 1. So Americans are continue to have a very good turn. And we've done the CVs, now the orbiter. They are going to go for the physics at Ganymede, I think. So that's a 4. I guess they should not go for the physics at Ganymede because that's a rover bonus, and both of those have spectrometer bonuses, and so does, okay, well, I've talked myself into it. Trojans and Greeks, 4 plus 3 is 7, 3 is 10, minus 1. Just go ahead and get the engineering, get the surest thing. One engineering point. That looks like all of the explorations at Jupiter. Nothing at Saturn. And I think the Americans, they lost their flybys. They are down to the orbiter at Sedna, which is a 3 plus 7, 10. Automatic physics. And a 37, no malfunction. And the physics is a 2. Now, what I'm seeing here is, so we already did the Russians, but we missed their flyby in that one box. because it was hidden. So they're going to explore from the one box, and they will target it doesn't really matter. They probably would have targeted Sedna. I'm just going to say they targeted Eris this time. No, they would have definitely got targeted because they get the +1 bonus for the Seek flyby. So there are 4 and 6 is a 10. +1 for that. +1 for that bonus, -1 for being 1 out. I feel like there was a hiccup. So it's going to be a 10. And if he gets reduced, we're just going to give it to the Americans, because they were at a 10 and all it would be is a 9. So did we just say it was a 10? 4 and 6, yeah. Well, a 90 something. So the Russian flyby is getting a physics marker for Sedna, and that number is a 2. No malfunction. Okay, now that's all of the Russian and American exploration. Let's do the Asians, starting with their telescope. They're targeting the deep space astronomy location, which we have mostly left alone. And now we're coming back to it because it's the best telescope target. 8 halved to 4, and then +3 for the telescope. A success, no malfunction. Physics marker. Is a 5. So that, check 8. I've got my markers mixed up a little bit. Okay. 8 goes down to a 7. There's a political marker for the Asians. There is no world card, but there is a life check, which is 5%. Wow. We're going to name that species the Ronculans. And so Asians get a victory point. And another political marker. And 2 biology chits. A 1 and a 3. And I guess we put a signs of life marker out here. I don't think it's going to have much effect. I guess it has an effect for additional, I'd have to think about how that interacts with additional life successes, but there's something going on there. Obviously, if the Asians, well, anybody at this point, not the Americans, so if the Russians or the Asians, yeah, this is how that works. The Russians and the Asians both have the signs of life tech. So if they were to explore that and pass it, then they would get the existing life bonus. The Americans, well, Americans have signs of life, so if the Americans did it and got a life check, it would flip over. They would get the life bonus, and the Americans would get the existing life tech. That's how that interacts. That was the telescope. More explorations for the Asians. Excuse me. Nothing at Jupiter proper. Ganymede. The CV4 going there, so that is an 8 plus 2 is 10. Automatic. I just looked at it and I've already forgotten physics. '92, no recall. Physics marker is a 2. Next up for the Asians, the rover, that's a 6 and 5, 11. Seven is a success, but a 9% is a malfunction. So that's going to be a biology. One, and an engineering marker for the rover malfunction. A 3. No depletion, the rover is done. It had a good run. Next up, flyby. I think they will target so it's a 1 plus 2 is 3 and 7. They'll go for the 90%. Let's just see if we can get a world card for Pluto. So 9. Seven is a success. 36, no malfunction. Physics marker for Pluto is a 1, so no depletion, no world card. Engine check. '41. Flyby goes to the 2 box. Now the Asian flyby 2 with a spectrometer. From the 1 box, well, Sedna is the right choice, so that's a 4 plus 6 is 10 plus 1 minus 1. 10. Automatic flyby malfunction, and it does. So they're getting a physics, and then an engineering marker. Physics for Sedna is a 2. Engineering marker. Also a 2. So that flyby is out. I think that's all of the explorations. Remote mining. Well, can't do it there because that guy explored. And you can, so exploration and mining, guess we haven't been explicit on that. They occur in the same phase. So presumably you can only do one of them. But I haven't thought that through. I'm just going to check the rules. Okay, so surely this has come up before. I have often bypassed. I've always felt like you could only do one thing during this phase. But the rule here, we're looking right there. If you have the space mining tech, you can also produce resources with CVs, which are equipped to do this. And over here, there's nothing in 356, which you can't really read, and I'm not going to be able to do it justice. I don't see anything there that says if you explored, you can't also produce. That's just been a conception that I've been holding for 27 plus episodes. So Andrew, I guess I'll let you chime in. I'm going to continue just to play the way I've been playing, because obviously if they mine resources, they run the risk of a recall, and maybe I don't want to do that, so we'll play it that way for this turn. But I am pretty certain, and if that's the case, if you can explore and mine in the same turn, I see a much better value to the CVs than I was before, because for certain explorations, the robotic explorers seemed good enough, and they had the lower malfunction rate, although typically a less of a success with the exploration itself. Okay, wow. Episode 27, and I'm still learning things that I thought I knew, or unlearning. So, other resource mining. Well, we said the Americans were going to do it here. So not this guy, because I'm not going to take the risk. But I will with this one, because it does not matter. So, rolling for a fuel mining at Jupiter. It's a 63, so there's no recall, and a 4 means 2 fuel. Okay. Yeah, my mind is just kind of blown right now with that, because now all of a sudden, just look, like these Asian, well, not the CV5s, but their CV4s have 6 exploration. That's really nice. If you can go out and explore and mine in the same turn. No other, I was doing the American mining there. Guess we should have started with the Russians. They don't have anything there, and the Russians don't have anything there. That one is full. It's already stacked up with 6. So we're on to the Asians. Asian CV at Vesta, going for ore. A 5 means 2 ore, 94. They're okay. And again, that CV explored this turn, so we're going to assume that that's all it did. That's all of the mining. Next up is trade and base construction phase. So trades. I'm just going to go ahead and do it with the Russians. So they have a sell ore on at the asteroid belt. 3 settlements, 4 ore. So selling 4 ore for 8 billion. The Asians are not going to do the fuel yet at Mars. I think they'll send some more fuel, and they've got their 4 ore there. So with 5 settlements, they can sell 6. Yeah, they're not going to get any higher. So they're going to sell 6 ore for 12 billion. And that just leaves the Americans with a supply buy and the fuel cell for the Asians at Mars. Is there any reason for the Americans not to buy that now? Freedom Base. They've got the money. Freedom Base has 4 settlements. Well, if they upgrade 1, so let's look at that. That's a Russian. So the American CVs are there and ready, there and ready. They've got fuel. Okay, yeah, so they're not going to execute that because in the base construction phase now, they are going to spend 2 ore, 2 supplies, and a fuel, and go to 5 settlements. And then they can buy even more. Now they can buy 6 supplies. That looks like, whoa, man, gosh, 48 minutes for 1 turn. I thought we might knock out the whole decade. Sorry for being slow, but we're going to pause and we're going to keep on going. Okay. Builds for the year 2108, starting with the Asians. They're going to spend 4 billion for fuel. Send it to Mars. Americans not doing anything. The Russians spending a fuel and a supply at their asteroid belt base to ready that CV3. And yeah, that's it. I was just pausing to think, so the format of the CVs, I'm going to digress here a little bit for people who haven't looked. Once you get to CV5 and above, they are all, with one exception, warships with exploration values. So none of the CV5s, 6, 7s, and 8s that exist in the game have cargo capacity, with the one exception being this Asian CV6 that has 8 cargo, but it also does not have remote mining. And I'm just looking at that Russian CV3 that we just flipped. 4 cargo, but it does have remote mining, because I was thinking, well, they've got a CV2 with 6 cargo capacity, but it doesn't have the gear symbol, so it can't it cannot do remote mining. Does that make sense to, if you're just going to be a cargo hauler, the CV2 with 6 is better, but that CV3's got a little more flexibility. So I think we're going to stick with flexibility. All right. Those are the builds, movements. Now, here's something weird. Did we not move? We must have failed to have moved this Russian. So surely, yeah. In fact, I know we did. So with that being the case, gosh, I'm sorry. I am trying to figure out how to resolve that, because I think that we also, I know we readied a crew vehicle at Russia last time at the base. So we probably, no, that's not true. I'm not sure how to resolve this. I can't do it. I'm just having to recollect. I almost feel like that CV3 probably should have moved last time. Somebody should have moved last time that didn't. But I certainly... No, that's not true. Okay. Maybe I just moved something over, because we readied the CV5 and it went out to Jupiter, and we had the CV3 was there, so he just came back. So that's CV4. But it was in the flyby box, so it should have moved back last turn as well. I'm going to give the Russians the benefit of the doubt on this and say that it should have moved last turn, which puts 2 supplies. They're going to go ahead and pay for it now. I'll try to resolve that. So that CV3 is great. The CV, yeah, so the only question is that CV4. Is it available this turn to do something? And we're going to say yes for now. I'm also seeing that I failed to pay for the Asians to do the same thing. Okay, that's all good now. So we were doing movements, transfer box movements, which is where we discovered that problem. Okay, those, oh, and here's another, gosh. Okay, in the last turn, during the base construction phase, the Americans wanted to build a base, so they were going to build it. And these guys were stacked together, so they're going to build a base. They had another supply and fuel, and they're going to build the small mining facility. So let's put those resources. Let's get a small mining station, and let's call it Prosperity Base. So Prosperity Base is here at Jupiter, and these guys are at it. Look at all these mistakes. Fly by, fly by. Okay, well so I feel very good with where we're at. The only real question I have is this Russian CV4. Should it be ready or not? Asian movement. Let's go ahead and take care of this so we don't forget. Launching 4 fuel to Mars. $70, rocket is recovered, and that gives the Asians 9 fuel at Mars. That's worth 18 billion. It's a good chunk of change. No Asian things around here. Okay, so we got a base. This CV5 is going to move. Don't know where yet. CV3 comes back, unloads for ore. This CV comes back and unloads for fuel. What do they want to do with their CV5? Well, the choices are take it to Jupiter or leave it here. If they send it to Jupiter, it'll get one more exploration this decade. I'm trying to put on my Asian player hat right now, and not my... If I'm the Asian player, I'm looking at the board situation. I know that the Americans can embargo me, or could, although that is 2 steps. Americans are at free trade, so it's 2 steps to embargo. And both of an embargo by itself doesn't do any good without those CVs being back here. So I look the American player in the eye and I say, hey, are you trying to embargo me this turn? They say no, and I believe them. And so with that, they head off to Jupiter. And there is no other Asian movement. Next up, the Americans. So the American, that's just going to stay there and keep on exploring Mercury. And the Americans don't have anything over here. All of their crewed vehicles, 5544, are out here. Well, first of all, this rover is going to move to the Trojans and Greeks, and we're going to do the engine check, because we never forget that. Rover makes it, so we have 2 CV4s at a base. Do we leave some of that fuel there? Do we try to build a supply station? We'd have to get it up to a small spaceport for it to even begin to really be useful. I feel like that's not what we want to do right now. The American asteroid belt base does not have any fuel at it right now. So here's the other thing. We are heading into the end of the decade, and we're about to mine 11 fuel at Jupiter, and we're going to want to haul that back. So staying in the Jupiter system seems reasonable, and they can haul their cargo even if they're unready. So staying here in the Jupiter system and doing some explorations makes sense. So I guess technically they could unload, and I guess I'll do that just to, no, because then they have to come back. So they'll haul it with them. It doesn't hurt. So for fuel, so where do we want to go? Well, I guess they'll just kind of spread out. One's going to go to Ganymede, one's going to go to the Trojans and Greeks. They're going to blanket the system. And the other CVs are going to stay in place. That looks like all of the Americans' movement. Next up, Russians. So what are we doing with the Russians? Well, the Russians have a decent amount of ore, and they're about to get more. They've got supplies. They're going to mine more at Ceres. They're low on fuel. I mean, they have 2, but they don't have, well, they've got 6 fuel on their CV out here. So first of all, let's just go ahead. This CV is got 2 guys here, and that's not a 0, it's a 1, I believe. So they're trying to get that last depletion to get their mission. So these guys, well, the 4 is certainly heading back out to Jupiter to mine. And this 3, I think they're going to send the 3 back to Earth. So that's a distance of 3. We haven't done this. Yeah, it's a 2-year trip out back to Earth. If they want to take advantage of some of these foreign trades, plus they have the Mir base, they're going to need something over there. So they'll do that. And that looks like all of the Russians' movement. I don't see anything else. We just have flybys. Looks good. Explorations, starting with the Russians. So let's go for the CB5 first. That is a 6 plus 2 is 8, and 1 more is 9. A success, so that's a biology marker. And it's a 2. No recall. Next CV is the CV4 with all the fuel. It's a 4 plus 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. And I got an 8 and a 32. So no success, no recall. Other Russian stuff here in the system, well, I've got that orbiter. And that orbiter's best bet I think is the Trojans and Greeks. It's a 2 plus 3 is 5 minus 1, 4. Yeah. None of these bonuses are going to help it. So it's going for a 4 for the Trojans and Greeks. No success, no malfunction. Yeah, that orbiter is going to have a hard time without a spectrometer or different world cards. Other Russian exploration, I think all we've got left now. The last shot with this flyby before it heads off or gets decommissioned. So the flyby is a 4, and they'll target Sedna, which makes it a 10. The bonus fly, oh no, actually that makes it 11. They don't have to worry about the, there's no distance penalty. So they'll take the 10, or 11. And give me a second, I lost a die off the back of the table. Okay, so one's digits, a 2, we rolled a red 9, so they just get the 1, and 80 something, whatever, 82, no malfunction. There's a physics marker. Which is a 3. So that is a political marker and a depletion. Political marker. That's 6. Goes to a 5. The world card for Sedna. It's another C-class asteroid. So no change there. And the life check, 5%. $67, no life. As we make the engine check roll, 30 is successful, but then the Russians are just going to decommission it. I think that's still like a 18-year journey from the scattered disk over to Alpha Centauri. That is the Russian exploration. Next up, the Americans. Back down here to Mercury. Let's start off with a rover, Pathfinder. 7 plus 5 is a 12. The 3% is a malfunction, but they did get the 2, so they're going to get 2 engineerings for exploration and a 3rd engineering for the malfunction. First one is a 3, so they got a depletion. Next one is a 1, and the malfunction is a 2. So another nice haul for the Americans. Three goes to 2. Rover malfunctioned, no spectrometer. So a single world card. And life is 2%. Let's remember that. World card. is S-class asteroid. I'm sure that does not apply. Minimal gravity, I'm sure, yeah, low. Life check, we said, for Mercury, 2%. Whoa, so close, man. Look at all these life rolls that we're nailing, or getting close on. 4%. Next up for Mercury is the CV, so that's a 6, 7, 8. A 9, a failure, and 58, no recall. Next up for the Americans, well, we know they have tons of exploration. Wow, like every single spot. Let's just go down the line and then we'll do the orbiter last. Andromeda, CV is a 5, plus 3 is 8. A 6 and a 34. Americans recall rate, 25, they're good to go. 6 is a success, that is engineering out of the Trojans and Greeks. Oh, and they've got a rover there. It's a 2. The rover has a spectrometer, so the rover is 6 plus 6 is 12. $36 and a 9. So one more engineering. I'm trying to remember. I'm not sure if I gave the Americans a political marker for the Mercury depletion. I'll just have to check on that later. Next up, American CV at Callisto. If they get the depletion, that's going to nullify the Russians' ability to score that mission. That's an 8 plus 1, 9, and 2 red dice. A success, no recall. Callisto is biology. And the Americans just get the 2. Going down the list, American CV at Ganymede is a 3, printed plus 2, 5, 6, 7. A 6 is a success and 40, no recall. Ganymede is physics. 2. Next up, Enterprise at Europa. 8 plus 1 is 9. 2 red dice. Success, 43, no recall. Europa is biology. And it's a 2. EO, nothing there. Shoemaker orbiter. So the Shoemaker orbiter is going to target Callisto, because they'd like to screw with the Russians, and it's got the spectrometer bonus. So it's 4, 5, 6, 7, minus 1, back down to 6. %, and a 7. So no success, just the malfunction. The orbiter gets an engineering marker. And it's a 1. And the American orbiter goes away. Okay. Last American exploration is this orbiter 3 plus 6, 9. That's Sedna. Eight is a success, but a 16 is a malfunction. So a physics and an engineering marker. Physics is a 1, no depletion. Engineering, also a 1. And the orbiter is out. And that is, I think, did the Americans just lose 3 robotic explorers this turn? Wow. So clearly the warranty was up. Well, they'll make some money from it if they just hold off another turn. They'll get $3 billion because they're under their support limit, and then they can pick their targets again. So that's the Americans. Next up, the Asians. I gotta say, I don't care for, I don't mind saying the Russians, but it just doesn't feel right when I just say the Asians. Telescope. Targeting deep space astronomy. Signs of life out there. See if we can learn more about the Ronculans. 7 is halved to 3.5 plus 3, so still a 7 target number. $70 and a 3. So physics marker for deep space is a 1. No depletion. Next up for the Asians. Okay. Now this always worries me when I have, I'm sure I took care of that okay. CV3 came from there. The reserved came in. Okay, Asian explorations here. They've got their CV4 at Ganymede is 8 plus 2 is a 10. Automatic physics. $26. Asians recall rate is 25. They're okay. And they got a 5. So that is a political marker. the more I think about it, I'm pretty sure I did not give the Americans a political marker before. One for the Asians. That was it, Ganymede. 2 is going down to a 1. Icy rocky moon. Let's see what kind of world card we pull. Hydrogen for gas giants does not apply. Life check, 5%. $16, no life. So all we have left out here, very much stuff used to be out here. Now it's just this lonely Asian flyby. Okay, it's a 3 and they'll target Eris and Dysnoma. That's a 9 -1 for the distance, 8. A success, 75, no malfunction. Eris is a physics. And a 2. Yep, that's all that's required there. Okay, remote mining. Well, we already had that big discussion last turn, so we're not going to do it again. I'm just not going to remote mine with things that I just explored with right now. So, was there anybody who was actually trying to remote mine? And the answer is no. You know, that CV would have done something just a little bit different. Probably would have swapped those. So there's no remote mining. So base construction and trade phase, trades, and the answer is yes. The Asians are not going to send any more fuel out to Mars, so they're just going to cash it in. That's 9 fuel for 18 billion. Putting them back to 35 billion at the end of a decade. That's pretty sweet. And when I say the end of the decade, we still have 1 turn left, but and that marker goes away. The Americans, right. They were thinking about holding off on that buy to build another settlement at the Freedom Base, which they did do. So they're going to go ahead and execute their buy option at 5 settlements, 6 supplies for 3 billion. Also a good deal. Consolidate that later. That's all, and that's all the trades. Base construction stuff. Starting, I don't know, if it probably is in reverse for base construction. So they're not going to make it, well, so they're not going to make it to 8 this decade, but every settlement that they do increases the odds of a growth. So they will build a settlement, go to 6. So let's see, we need 1 fuel, 4 supplies. And 1 more settlement. Americans, no. Russians, mine as well. That's on Mars. Mars over here. So we need 1 fuel, and 8 ore. And that settlement goes to 4. Okay. That is the end of the turn. So we got 1 turn left in the decade. The Americans got that base. Now, I didn't think about this. So the Americans now are at 5 bases. Their support limit for bases, well, is 3, right? 1 plus their 2. So they are 2 over their base limit. First one costs 4, second one costs 6. So the question is, what's the least productive base, and is it worth $6 billion? Yosemite makes 6 fuel. You can buy 6 fuel from Earth for 6, and Earth at least has a rocket. To transport it, and this fuel gets a little trapped, so it's kind of a wash unless they don't have, right now they've still only got the tech that gives them the 5 trade technology. I'm just looking ahead here. So this one is liable to be dropped. I think the only thing that's making me decide to think about saving it would be the fact that it's holding on to 2 fuel right now. If they get rid of the base, that fuel goes away. So they may hold on to it for 1 more turn, or 1 more decade. Yeah, just trying to see if there's anything going on here as we head into our last turn. The Americans have their goal of getting their prosperity base. They've had a hell of a turn. Yeah, tons of research, tons of political points, and they're in a great position. Russia has had, not as much luck. Of course, Jupiter now starts is getting close to, everybody kind of knows what the lay of the land is for the world cards. So for the Asians and the Russians, if they're going to come out here and build a base. The other thing is, people are getting close to CV range 4. So everybody's already got the CV range 3. Of course, that's 2 biology techs for a lot of points. But CV range 4 opens up Saturn. Of course, Saturn has the problem that Saturn itself doesn't even have a world card yet. Although it will get one when it goes to 0. And, Titan's kind of interesting, but it's got those nice bonuses. But Chasms isn't very interesting. So I don't know if Saturn will be the place. I think settlements are worth more at Saturn than Jupiter, but I'll have to double check that. I guess I will right now since we're talking about it, and that's, gosh, sorry, this video has just gone on long. Nope, Jupiter and Saturn are the same thing, 1.75 points per settlement. So these are settlements out here are worth 2. Okay, anyway, next time I guess we're going to do this last turn. I'll put a pause in it and handle the economic phase. So thanks for tuning in, and talk to you guys later.